Bayfront master plan is, and I don't know who coined this, I think the port did, is to create a world-class bayfront. And most of you have heard of the master planning effort, and I wanted to just spend a few minutes on the history. And just to repeat, and I believe Leslie already said this, but the master planning effort includes Gaylord, Pacifica Companies, who I work for, who is actually a real estate developer. We do commercial, office, hotel, residential, everything. We actually have 34 hotels. We have lots of residential development. So it's a $3 billion company, and it's we've got a website if you're interested in some of the projects that we work on. This is one of the most high profile. And the master planning effort also includes the port and the city of Chula Vista. So this is just an aerial view of the project area, most of it. And as Leslie mentioned, it's about 550 acres. And the master planning effort actually only came about in 2004. But before that, Pacifica Companies, who I now work for, was actually working independently on planning development for this area, their portion of it. Pacifica Companies actually has private land on Chula Vista's bayfront, and I'll show you that just now. But in 2004, the master planning effort was basically came to be in its current form. And Pacifica entered into an exclusive negotiating agreement with the city for the residential development, and then this effort was put together. And then, as you know, Gaylord joined a couple of years ago. So this, on the right-hand side here, this aerial view, let's see. This blue line is the outline of the 550-acre master planning area. And what you see here in red is the port property. And this yellowy color, this is the city property and what Pacifica Companies owns. And what I should say here, I just want to clarify, we don't own it outright. We have an option to buy it, an exclusive option to buy it. So for the purposes of planning this area, we control it. And our total acreage is 97 acres of that 128. And this is another aerial view, and the reason I put this in here is because I think it's important to show that right here, our 97 acres, is adjacent to the Sweetwater Marsh National Wildlife Refuge. And then this is the area where the Gaylord facility is proposed to go, just to give you the context. Okay, so this project, many of you may recognize, but you have to have been around a long time. It's called Bayfront Commons, and Pacifica Companies proposed this for development, before the master planning process began. And a lot of people had a strong reaction to this, primarily because of the adjacency to the National Wildlife Refuge. And I have to say that I was one of those people who had a strong reaction to this. I didn't think, as much as the actual land use itself is a good example of smart growth, it's compact, it doesn't have a lot, less reliance on autos, close to the trolley station, all those things. The adjacency to the National Wildlife Refuge was an issue for a lot of people, including me. And so there was a strong reaction to this. And in 2004, Pacifica agreed voluntarily to put this project on hold, Bayfront Commons, and enter into the master planning process. And something that's important to note is that this development is actually less intense, it has fewer units than a local coastal program that currently exists that's approved by the Coastal Commission. So in other words, this project is consistent with what's currently on the books for the Coastal Commission. And therefore, it's kind of a big deal that Pacifica was willing to put it on hold. And that sort of got my attention. That's sort of where the story begins. Then the CAC was formed to help facilitate the master planning process. That was the Citizens Advisory Committee, and Leslie was a facilitator. And I was actually on the committee representing San Diego Baykeeper, and I think a lot of other people in this room were on the committee. And the first thing that happened, well, the CAC was developed to form a vision for the Bayfront, to advocate for community benefits, and to provide a foundation for broad support for the project. Because we all knew that to get through State Lands Commission, Coastal Commission, and all the various decision-making bodies, we were going to need to really put together a strong coalition. And Cooper Robertson was brought in from New York. They were selected by the port and the city, and they're a nationally known planning and design firm. And one of the very first things they did with the CAC is they created these 3 districts: Sweetwater, Harbor, and Otay. Sweetwater is where Pacifica owns the land, Harbor, and Otay. And the idea was that Sweetwater would be more environmentally sensitive, and Harbor would be more intense and vibrant, and Otay would be sort of a residential, transitional, industrial district. And that set the tone for the whole planning. So you can see immediately that Pacifica's original idea of high-intensity residential development here probably wasn't going to end up being a part of the overall vision for the master plan. And in fact, that is what happened. This is what's currently in the environmental impact report, and it shows very low intensity uses over here in the Sweetwater district. Hotel use, some commercial and office, a signature park. Then we have Gaylord right here. And, this area here is called, it doesn't really have a name in this alternative. This was originally supposed to be the location for the convention center. Gaylord preferred this location, and so the CAC, for the purposes of the good of the whole, thought, okay, well, we can compromise. This location is good for Gaylord as long as we don't lose our signature park. And so the signature park location ended up here, which originally we thought might be here. So there were some compromises made, and this is sort of a commercial. It's retail commercial, and it's in a later phase. Actually, there's no specific development proposed for that now beyond the program level development. And then right here, this is the residential development, and this is a hotel, commercial, and office. And then this is the area that's meant to be, originally meant to be an industrial residential transition area, and it's been pushed off for a later phase of planning. It's at a very, very basic general level in the environmental impact report right now. Sure, so let's see. This is J Street, and this is H Street, and this is F, and this is E. Sorry, my hand's shaking so much. So as you can see here, Pacifica, who's planning the residential development, according to what the CAC came up with, our land wasn't appropriate for residential development. So we had to come up with a really creative solution. So this is what happened, and this is one of the main reasons I ended up going to Pacifica Companies. Again, you can see the land we own and the rest of the master planning area, the Sweetwater National Wildlife Refuge. And this is our land here in the crosshatched area, and what we're doing is we're planning to swap this land for port-owned land here. We were originally hoping to include this land on the Otay district for residential, but through negotiations, it's been determined that this is not appropriate for residential development, so we're only swapping this for this. It's about 97 acres for about 30 acres. And we're proposing a straight swap with the port. We don't expect any money to be exchanged. It's a straight land for land swap.
Still wants $12.
And so the reason we did that is because it's the right thing to do for the overall master plan. We think that this is the right location for residential development, and I'll talk more about this. It gets feet on the street. This is an arena. This is where the high intensity development is most appropriately located. And we also know this project has to go through many decision-making bodies, Coastal Commission, State Lands Commission. We wanted broad support. We wanted the community to be there with us, supporting that. So for the good of the whole, because we agreed to suspend everything and get involved in the master planning process, this is what the community determined was the most appropriate location, and we're in negotiations with the port now about swapping that land. And that's why, as an environmentalist, I said, I think I'm going to go work for those people because this is groundbreaking. It's not too often that a developer is willing to do a transfer of development rights.